legacy of the red, white, and blue.
It's time for Veterans Issues, the show that brings you information about veterans, military, and their family. Now here's your host, Ken Rollins.
Welcome to Veterans Issues. Ken Rollins here. Today's guest is here to talk about a subject that's in the news, and we're going to talk. He is a professor out at JSU, retired, and his name is Matt Gillam. Most of you around here know him, but I don't know him that well, but we're going to get to know him. He's got a subject that I'm confused about, so I'm going to get a clearance on it, and it's called the Confederate battle flag. Stay where you are. I'll be right back. Welcome into Veterans Issues, Ken Rollins. Things been in the news lately about the Confederate flag and what it stands for, and there's different sides taking a different perspective on it. I had a situation the other day I'll try to tell you about if I get to it. A fellow had one in the back of his truck, and what I asked him and what he told me. But today I got Professor Gillam on here. He's retired from JSU. Welcome.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Good to see you, man.
Yes, sir. Good to see you. Enjoy watching your programs, and
thank you.
Appreciate you having me on.
I started asking around. I said, I need an authority, somebody that knows something about these flags. I know a little bit about them, just enough to get myself in trouble. So what I want to do today is clear up some of the myths about the I like that myth, the hit and myth, the myth about the Confederate flag. And so I want to do, if I can do something to the camera here and get these out of the way real quick. This is which flag?
That's
I don't know which camera should I be in.
This is the third national flag. Actually, we had three national adopted Confederate flags, of which the battle flag that the battle of the Army of Virginia was actually not ever an adopted national flag of the Confederate States.
That's a what now?
The what we refer to as the battle flag, or some people refer to
that is the battle flag.
This is the third national.
Okay.
They had the first national.
Okay. We're going to show a couple more here.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get these out without tearing up the set.
Okay.
This is which one?
This is the first national.
Okay.
The cannon over there, you see with the 7 stars representing the original 7 Confederate states, and you see it's also referred to as the stars and bars.
Stars and bars. Okay.
Stars and bars. And this is the first national flag that was adopted in the early part of 1861. Now, most people do not realize it, but between the time that the state of Alabama seceded and the time of which they joined the Confederacy, we were actually a republic of Alabama, and this is the flag. If you look at, excuse me, and right down here in Latin it says, "Do not touch me."
Wow. Well, I did.
Well, there was a rattlesnake under that cotton plant. I hope it didn't get you.
Suck the poison out. Yeah. All right, that's some of the flags. I read somewhere where there was like 30 different flags.
There probably were, and probably were more than that, actually. A lot of regiments had their individual flags. The Bonnie Blue was probably the first flag that was used, which was just a blue background with a white star on it, and that was actually the flag that was put up the pole there at Fort Sumter.
Well, recently the horrible situation happened with those 9 people killed out there in Charlotte. The idiot, that terrorist, whatever you want to call him, he
Correct.
Was using that Confederate battle flag as his calling card, so to speak. That you can't. Yours behind you is an American flag. If he had been holding that flag, would we have taken the same feeling? But that flag, that Confederate flag, battle flag, that was flying in South Carolina, is the flag that I'm talking about today. The people take it as a hurtful thing because they associate it with slavery. Is that, to explain that to me?
Well, unfortunately, explain this. The actual Confederate battle flag was a square battle flag. It was not a rectangular battle flag, of which he was, demonstrating in the photographs that we saw. It is most unfortunate because even the Ku Klux Klan back in the 20s, they held up an American flag.
Absolutely, yeah.
It wasn't a Confederate flag. It was just these folks in the 50s and 60s, these idiots these neo-Nazis and skinheads and so forth that used that Confederate flag as a symbol of racism and hate. And I can say, let me just up front say this. I've been a member of the Sons of the Confederate Veterans for a number of years. And I don't know anybody in that camp or anybody I associate that hates black people because of the color of their skin.
Absolutely. And the thing was that I've seen some of the people that I know. I worked with a fella named Bush, had relatives that served on the Confederate side.
There were some, that's right. And almost in every camp, there would be blacks that would accompany the soldiers to perform various duties for them. So they were very integral part of the Southern society during the war. They were back at home. They were planting crops. They were taking care of things that, the master, so to speak, would have taken care of.
Well, how do we get beyond the slavery Confederate flag? How do we get beyond that associating? Because my history shows that the war was not fought based for slavery. I mean, that's what I know about it.
Yeah. I think in terms of what it was fought for, a lot of people have a lot of different opinions. I've been doing a lot of work on reading the Jacksonville Republican during the Civil War, 1861-64. And I think for some individuals that had slaves that were elected officials, I couldn't say that slavery wasn't an issue with them. Mm-hmm. But I think for the most part, most Southerners, they just didn't want to be told what to do and not to do.
The taxes and
That's
all that
right.
stuff that they were doing.
And then it got to be where there was Northern aggression, and they were wanting to protect their homes and their families. Mm-hmm. And so, from that perspective, I think it is a lot today. You served in Vietnam. People joined for a lot of different reasons, didn't they?
Absolutely.
Some of them were loyal, but
some were drafted.
Some were drafted, a lot of different reasons. And I can't help but believe that wasn't the case in 1861 and on through as the conscription and drafting occurred, both North and South.
Well, this is something it's giving people a vehicle that want to stir things up or want to cross. We're going to take a break after a while, but when we do, I want to bring up a thing. Even in today's paper, the Anderson Star paper, and I picked it up this morning. There it is on the front page. They're going to take on and even up in Memphis, as we're sitting here, they're talking about digging up General Forrest, digging up him and his wife's remains. They ain't said where they're going to put them, but they don't want them there because they were fighting on the wrong side and makes them racist, and so we're gonna have enough time to dig into all that. When we come back, I'm gonna talk more about that and bring up today's paper about that. So we're gonna go to a break. Come back, we're gonna talk more with Professor about this Confederate flag. Be right back. Get your pen. Welcome back to Veterans Issues. Ken Rollins, and we're talking with Professor Gillam. We're talking about the Confederate flag, and I don't even know where we were when we left off, but
I really didn't answer your question about where do we go? You were talking about the flags on the, yeah, and I think that we have to have an understanding that of our individual heritage, appreciation of our heritage.
Good or bad? Our heritage.
Correct, absolutely. Let me just give you this example. I went to one of JSU's football games a number of years ago, sitting in the end zone, and as I was sitting there, there was a black gentleman that walked up beside me to sit down. And he had on his shirt, he had It's almost most proud descendant of an Alabama field hand. And I thought, he's got it. He's got it. You gotta have pride in your heritage, in your race, and you as a person. And we all have to have that. You know, regardless, we've got to have that. And until we all get that, and if we keep trying to put each other down to lift ourselves up, it ain't gonna work.
Well, I tell you, when they took the flag down in Charlotte, I didn't have any problem. I was in Montgomery and I was listening to it on the radio. They were talking play by play.
Charleston,
that's right. And I thought, and I was talking to my daughter about it. She says, "You for the?" I said, "Not for, not against. It doesn't matter to me right now. If somebody wants to put one up, I don't have a problem. Want to take it down, I don't have a problem. If it's hurting somebody by being up there, that don't erase history. Mm-hmm. It don't take away what the Jones boy did, gave his life and left a wife and kids. That don't take anything away from it. It don't take anything away from the Smith boy. They can take down the flag, the piece of cloth. Now, the American flag, that's a different story.
It is.
But if it helps people and it helps the country heal, I think what you're just saying, we need to get past this little trivial stuff of what that flag meant. Now, what I was going to tell you, I was down on Highway 78 the other day, and I saw a young man with a pickup truck with his wheels about 4 feet off of the ground, mud all up the side of the truck, and he had a Confederate flag in the back of his truck, right in the center of it. And I turned around, I went back and pulled up there beside him where I could talk to him window to window, and I said, "What you got that back?" He said, "That's my rebel flag." I said, "So that's a rebel flag. That looks like the flag that everybody's, they fussing about it. They want to take our rebel flag away from us." I said, "Well, I thought it was called a Confederate flag." He said, "Well, it's a Confederate rebel flag." I said, "Okay." My point is, the reason that's when I tried to get in touch with you. I said, I need somebody on here that can give us some facts about this stuff. Now, like at Janie Furnace, for instance, you've been involved in some of that out there in Ohio. Not being for a Confederacy or against the Confederacy, my ancestors were fought in the Confederate. I even got a medal from the daughters and sons and daughters. I've got a medal from that. But I took my daughter, or I took her, we went together to Janie Furnace to look at it. What I came out of there was I was able, just like with those flags, that one flag there that's hundreds of years old that I just touched. But I was able to touch weapons, tools and things they used back in that day that interests me. That was educational. School kids were going through there in herds, and it's written what everything is, and there's somebody there to tell them what's in there. What's wrong with that? They were not one person saying, them dang Yankees or the damn Yankees or whatever you want to call it. It was history. And if the flag of your heritage is part of your history, and like I said, I've got in my vehicle out there, I've got that medal from the sons and daughters of the Confederacy, because they found one of my ancestors, and it'd be hard to find anybody's ancestor that didn't fight one side or the other. So.
Well, me and you were both old enough, nothing personal, but you know, we lived through the 50s, the 60s when there was segregation, and we experienced black people not being able to come up to the counter and eat, having to go around and pick up their food at the back of the establishment and take it and eat under a tree or go somewhere else, sit in the back of the bus. We realized that wasn't right. Mm-hmm.
But you know what, as I said earlier, I came from a poor family. My mama raised 7 kids on Social Security. My daddy was dead when I was 5. I picked more cotton than most people you can name. I pulled more beans and pimento peppers. If I got shoes, that's the way I did it. And I never looked down. However, when I saw a fellow that's in his 50s and 60s, and I'm 10 years old, he referred to me as Mr. Ken. You live with that. It's not something that's said, but it's just adapted as part of life. And then when I went into service, I got a rude awakening that these people, they have feelings like I do, the old bills, and they love their family and stuff. But the family that I grew up in and the culture that I grew up in, we were not taught, educated that we're better, or to rise above. But it was the way you lived gave you that impression, and so to live through that, I know what racism is. You just mentioned some of it. That's what last week I was talking about. Let's don't use that word for everything. I don't like Obama. Well, you're racist.
Yeah.
I don't like this. You're
Absolutely.
racist. So we need to quit doing that. We need to stop looking at the Confederate flag, battle flag, as something that is vile, something that if somebody wants to fly one, so be it. If somebody wants to have on their bumper, so be it. And you can make your judgment on that person if you want to. Oh, he's a redneck. But that don't hurt. But when you go up to him and say you got to take that off of your vehicle, that's when it switches over. Would you agree?
Absolutely, Ken. And I think that's the philosophy that we as a society need to taking the flag down to a lot of people is not going to do anything but divide us.
Right.
That's all it's going to do. It's going to put animosity in the hearts of some people. It might make some people happy, but the other people, like I said, it's going to cause hurt in their heart, so to speak. I mean, they had ancestors that fought. They're proud of their heritage. They're proud of the history. I don't think anybody would admit that.
I want the control room to bring up something I was talking about here earlier, that even to today's paper, if you look at that, you can't hardly read it. But the headline says, Council discusses Confederate flag. Now, this is on a Tuesday. I think the 14th of July. We're here sitting here talking about that, and that's in today's paper. Didn't know that when I booked you on here, didn't know that was coming out. But the city of Anderson is going to discuss removing that from everywhere. And there's a little monument down there in Quintard. Every year, the sons and daughters of the Confederacy, they put little Confederate flags around that, remembering Pelham, General Pelham. And they've been doing it as long as I can remember. Now, that's offensive to somebody. And I have been involved in building memorials. And I'm the guy who designed the memorial for Major Williams out there in Jacksonville. It cost $41,000 memorial. I drew it out, and that's what we got. And I worked to get the money along with Eli Henderson to build that. And that does not offend anybody there. But on the other side is Confederate graves, and that does. Yeah. We run out of time, man. I hope that some people learn from this.
Well, I hope so too.
I've learned some from it, and I appreciate you doing it. Will you come back? Let's talk more about. Let's talk about that era. Let's not just talk about that old flag. And I mean that old flag, not in a bad term, okay?
Absolutely, I would love to.
Thank you, Professor. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
We got to go to a break. Come back. I got news that you can use. Stay where you're at. Welcome back to Veterans Issues. I appreciate Professor Gillam coming in today and talking about that. I hope you've been enlightened. I left one thing off that I've seen a lot of here lately when people do comparisons. If you go back and you put Google, Hillary Clinton's pictures back in her younger days when she was in law school and all that stuff, you'll see on every shelf, every bookshelf in her law library, you'll see that old Confederate flag right behind her. And if you look at the Arkansas flag when Bill Clinton was the governor, you'll see it there also. So it's been okay until it's not okay. And it got not okay when somebody did something bad wearing that. So I would say that when the Ku Klux Klan was marching with that American flag, that wasn't okay either. But we're not burning the flags and tearing them down and that kind of thing. So I want you to think about this a whole lot. If we're going to let a piece of cloth, if somebody's got one up, let them fly it. Somebody got on the car, let them fly it. You just say, and you shake your head if you want to. Just say, shame on them. But don't confront them and don't make them take it down. And we'll get a little bit further down the road. All right, this week I'm going to talk about something that I've talked to you about every week, and it was Senator Dial and Senator Marsh have introduced a bill to unearmark funds that are earmarked funds. And then they pulled it back. It was Senate Bill 502. And it died for lack of, well, there was some of you out there got on the phone, let's put it that way. So I was in Montgomery this past Friday, and we got a call that they are going to bring that sucker back up again. I told you they probably would, because folks, this is about greed, it's about power, it's about money. the unearmarked funds will say unearmarking of funds. The education trust fund, and in this case, why I'm so upset about it, it's going to unearmark the Veterans Assistance Fund. The money that we pay for the nursing homes, the money we pay for the state cemetery, the money we pay for all these offices, and I wanted you to remember one thing. In 67 counties across the state of Alabama, we got veteran service officers that work for the Department of Veterans Affairs. They brought in $1 billion last year and the year before. Listen to me, $1 billion. If that was a Honda, a Hyundai, a Mercedes-Benz, we would just be rolling out the carpet for them. But we're bringing our people out there in these counties, filing these claims, getting this GI Bill, putting people through college for free. Alabama colleges off of federal dollars. That's what we do. Why would we want to cut those people out of the business? But they say that if they can do that, they can handle our money a lot better. And all you folks out there watching me today, I want you to raise your hand if you think there's a politician in Montgomery that can handle money to take care of Alabama veterans better than the people that sits on the board and the people that we're hiring department to do that. Just raise your hand if you think they're out there. And I didn't see any hands raised. And Senator Marsh and Senator Dial, I will not, I repeat, I will not back off of this, because guess what? I got the DAV, the VFW, the American Legion, the Purple Hearts, the AMVETS, every veterans organization that you can name is behind me, not you. We don't want to put 704 of our fellow veterans out on the street from our nursing homes. We don't want to do that. I don't think you do either, but your actions and your greed and your power will do that. So if you're going to unearmark, just so that we can have money for the prisons and the Medicaid, that's, you know, it's what it's for, because you said it was. The money we're going to take the money from the veterans that's earned this money, and you're going to give it to the prison systems and to the Medicaid. Shame on you. And it's going to be shame on you too if you go forward with this legislation. And I got to add one other fellow to it. His name is Governor Bentley. He's joined in with them, so you're going to hear from us. And so I just serve that as a shot across the bow. I'd ask you not to go forward with it, and ask everybody out there to call these two senators and leave a message with the governor. See you next week here on Veterans Issues. And this salute, let me see who my salute goes out. Goes out to all the spouses that are waiting on somebody to come home from war that hope to come home and say, we'll see you next week. Salute.